Okay, and we have our next in-studio guest with us, Mr. Rob Pederson from City National Bank. Welcome, Rob.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me on the show today. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. So tell us a little bit about City National. What do you do? What do you specialize in?
Perfect. I work for City National Bank. I work in the Mission Valley office in the branch down there, and most of what we're doing is getting money out to our community. So believe it or not, City National Bank is dedicated to working with small business owners, to small to medium-sized privately owned businesses. My job is to get out there, meet with the clients, and get in the ditches with them, figure out some financing options for them, and get them successful. I know earlier in the show you guys were talking about products and how to get financing and getting products moving. So that's my job. And so today I thought might be nice just to kind of talk a little bit about basics on perspective of what makes a successful borrowing relationship with City National Bank, and just getting back to the basic 5 C's of credit. A lot of us kind of get away from that, and that's as my job as I get out there and I'm working with a small business owner. The thing I'm looking for and digging out of that owner is the 5 C's of credit. And these are the things that I need to produce and to present to a chief credit officer to get that loan approved.
So tell us about the 5 C's. What are the 5 C's?
You bet. The 5 C's of credits are, first of all, it's credit history and the character of the borrower. We want to know the measure of the borrower's willingness to borrow and how their ability to repay the loans. We look at their personal credit. So a lot of times what happens, we're in the middle of, we get the whole package together and we find out that the borrower had a BK or there might be some credit issues that we need to overcome, and we try to find ways to mitigate that. So we'd like to know up front, so borrower, be prepared to come to us and tell us anything that might be personally wrong with your credit history. If there's a financial strength or a weakness in there, we want to know up front those things. The other part of
Well, am I to assume then that the good news is that you don't have to have a 100% perfect credit history?
That's correct, and none of us probably do. So there's going to be something that I need, and we need to figure out what happened. Why did that happen, and how do we overcome that to make that a successful borrowing relationship?
One of the things that I've experienced over my career in dealing with banks and dealing with clients and going back to the bank is, it's you have the greatest product in the world, but if the package doesn't look good, nobody's going to buy it, right? So when you think about loans and borrowing from a bank, it's all how you package the lender for the bank. How can somebody, without abusing and fabricating information, how can somebody look better to a bank? How do you go about that?
The reason is kind of getting into what I'm talking about is just as long as I know what the problems are, we try to mitigate those and overcome them. I mean, there's not been a business that I haven't had to mitigate an issue with in the credit history. So maybe it's some sales trends that drop down, and we got to find out what happened in that sales trend. So that's where I dig in with that client, get it all prepared before we present it, before we get that note. And I think that's kind of my biggest thing is how do I make this business successful and getting that loan to them? So and finding out those 5 C's or that what you're talking about and getting into anything that I need to mitigate a downturn in the market. Mm-hmm. Maybe there's a one-time expense that happened that we don't know. I mean, we're looking at financials. We see this maybe a loss, but then there's something that is a non-recurring expenses. We'd like to know that stuff up front. So we can mitigate that and make it a successful loan.
Okay.
So, interesting.
So it's something, with the, you get the military, just getting out of the military, their credit rating generally is not that high.
Right.
Or those that were in business and with the recession, during the pits of it, the business just shut down. They want to kick in again and start business all over again. And their credit rating just doesn't qualify, they're told.
Right. And that's a very good point. I mean, we've seen that in our downturn in our market, 2010, 11, we saw those financials dip, we saw credits dip. And then if we understand, that's the kind of things I'm talking about, if we understand those non-recurring trends, and what's going to make that business successful, maybe it's projections to what are we going to see in the next couple of years if we give you this financing, how is that going to affect the business and how that's going to help you?
Yeah, well, you're listening to Close Up on San Diego Business here on KCBQ, streaming live at AM1170theanswer.com. Give us a tweet at CloseUpSD. Email me at barry@closeupsandiego.com or find our page on Facebook. We want to hear from you. I'm your host, Barry Waxler, here with Andrea Kay, Urban Miaris, and our guest is Rob Pederson from City National Bank. Rob, something just came to me as you were talking, which, we talk about this with law firms. We talk about this with, anything to mortgage, to real estate and tax. We talked about the guys that we helped with in real estate a while ago. It makes a lot of sense to collaborate with not only with your bank, But if you have a financial planner, if you have a CPA, if you have an attorney, and they are active in your life, in your business, bring them in and work together to get what you need at the bank.
Get all that resolved, get that full picture so I can present your business in the best light possible. So that's kind of what excites me to get up every morning and go to work, and is just get out there in the ditches with the small business owners, learn their businesses. Everyone's unique. So we're not all the same, so it's not a cookie cutter. And we are really dedicated to get that financing, that money out to our community. So
credit history is the first C.
Yep.
There's
credit
4
history.
more.
There's the capacity to repay. So again, we talked a little bit about the capacity to repay, where the sales trends, there's something that was a hiccup, we had a loss, and anything to mitigate it. But we kind of look at the ability to repay our loans back. We look at the collateral. What kind of specific collateral instruments do we have? Do we have inventory? Do we have receivables? Do we have a building if we're going to buy a building? And then the capital. We want to see the borrower have skin in the game, so to speak. So we look at what kind of capital contributions are you going to make towards this financing request. And then last are just conditions. Measure the overall economic environment that business is doing business in. We want to know any sales trends that might cause them, because these are the answers that I'm going to get. Questions are going to get to me, and I need to have the answers prepared. So this better helps me prepare if a borrower really understands what the bank is, the elements of that makes it a successful relationship, and what we're looking for on a credit perspective on that.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned one thing earlier, and I think a lot of people don't fully understand this, even though it sounds like a simple term. You mentioned what kind of collateral goes in. Okay, most people don't understand that. They think collateral. Okay, I'm going to put my house on the market so you have the equity in my home. Right. But there's a lot of other things that can be collateralized to help you get the financing that you need.
Like
Am
what?
I correct?
Yep. Well, we look at, depends on the type of facility, the credit facility we're doing. So sometimes we do a lot of leasing. So we lease a lot of equipment. So we're looking at the assets, maybe this radio equipment that you guys lease, we would finance that, and that would be our collateral. If we're going to buy a building that we're going to own or occupy our commercial real estate, that building will be our collateral. A lot of times on a line of credit, we look at the inventory of the business, the accounts receivables, see how they're aging and how those are turning. And we really work with our small business clients to really understand their needs and get inside their heads, and making sure that it's a good partnership between the two of us. I like to say, which is kind of a no-no, that we're a silent partner with our small business clients, because we are. We're in there. We want to know if there's a trend that's going to come up that we need to maybe get more capital out to you. If there's, so usually twice a year I'll meet with my clients and say, okay, what do we need any financing over the next 6 months? Do you foresee anything happening that would cause another borrowing or a concern? So we really, they need our help. And I think one of somebody told me the 3 people you really need is your attorneys, your banker, and your PR guy. So those are the three guys, 3 people that should be in your life in a small business owner. So
I say a good cook. Add on to that. Then it's all complete.
Well, you can work on that one on a later interview today.
Exactly.
So many business owners tend to only go to the bank when they need money.
Correct.
Or they need something. And really, if you don't need money now's the time to go to the bank. Get that relationship going, even if it's just to get a line of credit.
A very good point.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to the bank when your business is down, you're losing money, what have you. That's like trying to go buy fire insurance on a burning building. You need to have that relationship in place ahead of time.
And what I say about that too, that's a really good point, is because there is going to be that cycle in a business. And as long as I'm your banker, I'll just talk about myself, I'm going to know your trends. I'm going to be prepared when something like that comes up, and we'll be able to, if we need financing to get us through that hurdle or that downturn, we're going to be there for you. So that's kind of the pride that I take in my job, is just to really know who my clients are and who my prospects are as well. Right. So. And
you work on all different types of loans, any collateralized, uncollateralized. Is there anything that you don't work on at City National?
Well, that's probably not. Okay. I think it's I was asked earlier, do we do SBA lending? And that's kind of a loan where you don't have collateral, where we look at the federal government programs to support that mitigation of not having collateral. So yeah, we do. We pretty much have everything to offer to a client, both on the business side and the personal side as well.
Great. And you're active in the philanthropic side of the world too, aren't you?
Something that I got involved in earlier this year. It happened over the holiday season. I kind of noticed a lot of homeless, a lot of younger youth on the street, and I was like, wow, what is going on here? And I met Tanya Tarosian from Promises to Kids organization. City National Bank is really active with our nonprofits in our community and supports our efforts when we go out there. So Tanya and I met, and we talked, and I thought it was a foundation that I can add some value to, so I joined the Promise Kids Board.
Great.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a wonderful organization that helps our foster youth in our community. So
great. Yeah, we've had Tanya on the show probably a year and a half ago.
Yeah, we should bring her back. It's been a while to revisit that. Yeah, wonderful work.
Yep. So before we run out of time, tell our listeners how they find out more about you, or how they get in touch with you.
Sure. So if you have any questions or get in touch with me, I'm Rob Pederson with City National Bank. You can email me at rob.pederson@cnb.com, or just give me a call, 619-708-8758. And I really appreciate your time today. Thank you, guys.
Great.
Awesome.
Thanks for being with us.
Okay.
This is Close Up on Sending a Business here on KCBQ, streaming live at AM1170theanswer.com. Send us a tweet at CloseUpSD, or just find our page on Facebook. You can always email me at Barry@closeupsandiego.com. Let me know what you think. I'm your host, Barry Waxler. We'll be right back from our sponsor.